Hello students, today I will going to teach you Unit 4 Waiting for Godot written by Samuel Beckett. Waiting for Godot is a play by Samuel Beckett in which two characters, Vladimir and Estrogan, engage in a variety of discussion and encounters while waiting Godot, who never arrives. Waiting for Godot is Beckett's translation of his own original French language play. An attendant Goddard and a subtitle in English only, a tragic comedy in two acts. The original French text was composed between 9th October 1948 and 29 January 1949. The premiere, directed by Roger Blin, was on 5th January 1953 at the Theatre de Babylon, Paris. The English language version premiered in London in 1955 in a poll conducted by British Royal National Theatre in 1998-99. It was voted the most significant English language play of the 20th century. Plot: Act 1. Two men, Vladimir and Estrogan, have met near a leafless tree. Estrogan spent the precious night laying in a ditch and receiving a beating from some unnamed assailants. The two men discuss a variety of issues, and it revealed that they are waiting for a man named Godet. They are not certain if they ever met Godet or if he will even arrive. Two other characters shows us Pozo and his slave Lucky, who are headed for the market where Pozo intend to sell Lucky. They pause in a journey as Pozo engages Vladimir and Estragon in conversation. Lucky performs a dance and a monologue. Lucky monologue is a torrent of academic sounding phrases mixed with sounds such as qua qua qua. Lucky speeches follows Pozo's command, think, and is seen to contain in a cryptal manner, meaning that support the underlying themes of play. Pozo and Lucky they depart. Soon a boy shows us and explains to Vladimir and Estragon that he is a messenger from Godet and the Godet will not be arriving tonight but tomorrow. Vladimir asks about Godet and his boy exit. Vladimir and Estragon decide that they will also leave, but they remain there as the curtain falls. In Acts 2, it is following night. Vladimir and Estragon are again near the tree waiting for Godet. Lucky and Pozo reappears, but now Pozo has been blind and Lucky has been dumb. Pozo can't recall having met Vladimir and Estragon the previous night. Lucky and Pozo exit as Vladimir and Estragon go on waiting. Soon the boy reappears to report the Godet will not be coming. The boy claims that he didn't talk to Vladimir yesterday. The boy exists. Vladimir and Estragon consider suicide, but they don't have a rope. They decide to leave, but again they remain as a curtain falls on the final act. Characters in this play: Beckett refrained from elaborating on the characters beyond what he had written in the play. He once recalled that Sir Rappel wanted to low down on Pozo, his home address and curriculum vitae, and seemed to make the forthcoming of this and similar information the condition of condescending to illustrate the part of Vladimir. I told him that I knew about Pozo, and in the next text that if I had known more, I would have put in the text, and that was true also of the other characters. Vladimir and Estragon. When Beckett started writing, he did not have a visual image of Vladimir and Estragon. They are never reframed as a tramps in the text, though are often performed in such costumes on stage. Roger Blin advises Beckett heard their voice, but he did not describe his characters to me. The only thing I'm sure of is that they are wearing bowlers. The bowler's hat was, of course, the regard for the man in many social contents. When Baggett was growing up in the Foxrock and his commonly wore one. That said, the play does indicate that the clothes worn at the least by the Estragon are shabby. When told by Vladimir that he should have been a poet, Estragon says he was, gestured to his rugs, and asks if it were not obvious. There are no physical description of either of the two characters. However, the text indicates that Vladimir is possibly the haver of the pair. The bowler and other boldly comic aspects of their person has reminded modern audience of Lauren and Hardy, who occasionally play tramps in the films. The hat passing came in the Waiting for the Godot, and the lucky inability to think about his hat on are two obvious Beckett derivations from Laurel and Hardy. A substitution of from on s for essence, covering for reality, wrote in the comic mind, comedy and the movies. Their blatter with indicates idioms indicate that they are both Irish. Vladimir stands through most of the play where Estragon sits down numerous times and even dozes off. Estragon is inherent and Vladimir restless. Vladimir looks at the sky and musts on the reason of the philosophical matter. Estragon belongs to stone, preoccupied with mundane things, what he can do to eat and how to ease his physical aches and pain. He is direct, initiative, and intuitive. He finds it hard to remember, but one recalls certain things who when promoted. When Vladimir asks, "Do you remember the Gospels?" Estragon tells Vladimir about the colored map of the Holy Land and he planned to honeymoon by the Dead Sea. It is short-term memory that is poorest and point out to the fact that he may in fact be suffering from the Alzheimer's disease, but perhaps Estragon's forgetfulness is cement building in their relationship together. He continuously forgets, Vladimir continuously reminds him, but between them they passes the time. They have been together for 50 years, but when asked by Pozo, they do not reveal their actual ages. Vladimir's life is not without its comfort too, but he is more resilient of the pair. Vladimir's pain is primarily mental anguish, which would thus account for his vocabulary. Exchange of its hat for the lucky thus signifies Vladimir's symbolic desire for the other person's thoughts. The characterization for some represented the act of thinking of the mental state and the physical things of the body. This is visually depicted by the Vladimir continuous attention to his hat, Estragon's to his boots, while the two characters are temporally opposite with their differing response to a situation. They are both essential and domesticated in the way Vladimir metaphysical musings were balanced by Estragon's physical demands. Next character was Pozo and Lucky. Jean Martin, who originated by the role of Lucky in the Paris in 1953, spoke to a doctor named Martin who was working at Petit Selfrier Hospital. Martin asked if she knew of a psychological reason that would explain Lucky voice as it was written in the text. GODOT suggested, which he said begin with a trembling which gets more and more noticeable until later the patient can no longer speak without the voice shaking. Martin began incorporating the ideas to his rehearsal packet, and the director may not have been completely convinced, but they expressed no objections. When Martin mentioned to the playwright that he was playing Lucky as it was suffering from the Parkinson, Beckett responded by saying yes, of course, and mentioning that his own mother and Parsons. When Beckett was asked why Lucky was so named, he replied, I suppose he is lucky to have no more expectations. The boy, the boy in act, a loyal land, a loyal a local lad assures Valmir that this is the first time he has been seen. He says he was not there the previous day. He confirms he works for the Goddard as a Goddard. His brother, whom Goddard beats, is a shepherd. Goddard feeds both of them and allows them to sleep in his hayloft. The boy in Act 2 also assures Vladimir that it was not he who called upon the day before. He insisted that this is true in the first visit. When Vladimir asks Godet does, the boy tells him he does nothing, sir. We also learnt he had a white beard. Possibly the boy is not certain. This boy also have a brother who seems to be sick, but there is no clear evidence to suggest that this brother is the boy who came in Act 1 or the one who came the day before that. Whether the boy from the Act 1 is the same boy from the Act 2 or not, both boys are polite yet timid. In the first act, the boy, despite arriving, the Pozo and the Lucky are still about. Does not announces himself until Pozo and Lucky leave, saying to Valmir Estragon that he is waiting for other two to leave out of the fear of the two-man Pozo. Whip that the boy does not arrive early enough in Act 2 to see either Pozo and Lucky in both acts. The boy seems hesitant to speak very much, saying mostly yes sir or no sir, and winds up exiting by running away. Goddard. The identity of the Goddard has been the subject of much debate. When Colin Duckworth asked Baggett point blank whether Pozo was Goddard, the author replied, no, it is just implied in the text, but it is not true. Blair says that though Beckett will discuss the implications of the title, she suggests two stories that both may have at least partially inspired it. The first is that because feet are a recurring theme in the play, Beckett, he said that the title was suggested to him by the slang French term for boot. The second story, according to the Blair, is Beckett once encountered a group of suspects of the French Tour de France bicycle race who told him non-attendance Godet. They were waiting for a competitor whose name was Godet. The name Godet is pronounced in Britain and Ireland with the emphasis on the first simile. In the North America, it is actually pronounced and with the emphasis on the second syllable. Beckett himself said the emphasis should be on the first syllable and the North American pronunciation is a mistake, George. Beckett literally edged and who represent Beckett literacy estate. He always pronounced Godet in the French manner with equal emphasis on the both syllables. Becky's nephew Edward, who told him his uncle pronounced it was the way as well. The 1956 Broadway production slipped in the difference by having Vladimir pronounce Godet, which equals stress on both syllabi, and Estragon pronounced it was the accent on the second syllable. The next topic was interpretation. Because the play is so stiffed down, so elemental, it invites all the kind of social and political and religious interpretations, wrote Nomad in a tribute to play in the autumn 1999, with the Beckett himself placed in the different school of thought, different motivation movements and isms. The attempts to pin him down have not been successful, but the desire to do a natural one. I encounter a writer whose minimalist arts reaches for bedrock's reality, less forces up to look for the more, and the need to talk about Godet and about the Beckett has resulted in a steady outpouring of the books and articles. Then we will study about we will study about his autobiographical. Waiting for Godot has been described as a metaphor for the long walk into when Beckett and Suzanne slept in haystacks during the day and walked by the night of the relationship Beckett to Joyce. Beckett told Ruby that Caspar, painting two men contemplating the moon, which he saw on his journey to Germany in 1936, was the source for the play. Beckett objection to the casting of female actor. Beckett was not open to the most interpretative approaches to his work. He famously objected when in the 1980s several women's acting campaigns began to stage the play. Women do not have prostates, said Beckett, reference to the fact that Vladimir frequently has to leave the stage to urinate. In 1988, a Dutch theatre company put on a productive director by the Martin Van with female actor using a French to Dutch translation by Jacoba Van. Beckett brought an unsuccessful lawsuit against the theatre company. The issue of the gender seemed to be so vital and distinction for a playwright to make that he acted angrily, instituting a ban on all production of the play in the Netherlands. This ban was short-lived, however. In 1991, 2 years after Beckett's death, Judge Hogarty ruled that production with female cast would not cause excessive damage to Beckett's legacy and allowed the play to be duly performed by all-female cast of the Britain Theatre Company at the prestigious Avignon Festival. The Italian Theatre Foundation won a similar claim in 2006 when it cast two actresses in the role of Vladimir Estrogant, characters traditional roles as men. As the 1995 ACO Festival director Norlo Clinton staged a production with Daniela in the role of Lucky.